Some of the smartest people you know will remain broke for most of their lives. Not because they are lazy, not because they lack education, and certainly not because they lack intelligence. They remain broke because the qualities that make them appear intelligent can become the very qualities that prevent them from becoming rich. They analyze every opportunity until the opportunity disappears. They search for certainty in a world where certainty does not exist. They fear looking foolish, protect their reputation, and refuse to make a move until they believe they understand everything. Meanwhile, the person they once considered stupid begins before feeling ready. He sells an imperfect product. He asks questions that expose his ignorance. He makes small mistakes, gets rejected, loses money, learns what works and tries again. While the intelligent person is still designing the perfect plan, the so-called fool is already collecting experience, customers, connections, and cash flow. This is the uncomfortable truth. The market does not reward intelligence by itself. It rewards action, it rewards persuasion, it rewards courage, adaptability, ownership, and the ability to act while everyone else is still thinking. Machiavelli understood that power rarely belongs to the person who knows the most. It belongs to the person who understands reality, recognizes opportunity, and moves before the moment is gone. In this video, you will discover the 6 hidden traps that keep intelligent people poor, and why people who seem less capable often become wealthier than them. The final trap is the most dangerous because it disguises itself as wisdom. It makes intelligent people feel responsible and rational while quietly stealing years of opportunity from them. So stay until the end, because you do not need to become less intelligent to become rich. You need to stop allowing your intelligence to become an excuse for inaction. From the first day of school, intelligent people are trained to believe that being wrong is failure. They are rewarded for choosing the correct answer, following proven methods, and avoiding unnecessary mistakes. The student who knows the most receives the highest grade. The student who experiments without certainty is often corrected, embarrassed, or punished. Over time, the smartest students learn a dangerous lesson: never act until you are sure. This lesson may help them succeed in school, but in the real world, it can quietly destroy their financial potential. Wealth is not created inside an examination room. The market does not give you all the information, explain the rules, and wait patiently for your final answer. It changes constantly. Customers behave unpredictably. Investments carry uncertainty. Competitors move without warning. By the time every risk has been analyzed, the opportunity may already belong to someone else. This is where the so-called stupid person gains an advantage. He does not need to appear brilliant. He is willing to ask basic questions, test an imperfect idea, and make small mistakes in public. He launches the business before the logo is perfect. He speaks to customers before mastering every sales technique. He discovers what works through contact with reality. The intelligent person often does the opposite. Because he has built his identity around being competent, a public mistake feels more dangerous to him. Failure is not merely a failed attempt. It feels like evidence that he may not be as intelligent as people believe. So he protects his reputation by remaining cautious. He calls it preparation. He calls it responsibility. But beneath those respectable words is often a fear of looking foolish. Machiavelli understood that anyone seeking power must learn to deal with the world as it is, not as it should be. Reality does not reward beautiful intentions or perfect theories. It rewards those who can observe consequences, adapt quickly, and continue moving. This does not mean acting recklessly. Strategic people do not gamble everything on an untested idea. They create small, controlled experiments. They risk an amount they can afford to lose. They treat failure as information rather than humiliation. A failed offer can reveal what customers truly want. A rejected proposal can expose a weakness in your message. A small financial loss can teach a lesson that years of reading never could. Being wrong cheaply is often more valuable than being theoretically right. The person who must always look intelligent remains trapped in thought. The person willing to look foolish for a while gains experience, and experience eventually becomes judgment, confidence, and power. One of the most dangerous habits of intelligent people is their ability to mistake thinking for progress. They read another book, watch another interview, compare more strategies, build detailed spreadsheets, study every possible risk, and search for someone who can guarantee that their decision will work. At the end of the day, they feel productive because their minds have been busy. But nothing in their financial position has changed. No product has been offered, no customer has been contacted, no investment has been made, no negotiation has taken place. They have accumulated information, but they have not exposed themselves to reality. This is where analysis becomes a sophisticated form of procrastination. Useful research moves you toward a decision. Defensive research gives you a respectable reason to delay it. One produces action, the other protects you from uncertainty while creating the comforting illusion that you are making progress. Imagine two people who want to start the same small business. The intelligent one spends 6 months studying the market. He analyzes competitors, designs a detailed brand strategy, calculates possible expenses, and waits for the perfect moment to launch. Every new piece of information reveals another problem, so the plan becomes more complicated. The so-called stupid person begins with a basic offer and speaks to 10 potential customers. His first offer fails, his price is wrong, his message is unclear, but within 1 week, he knows something the intelligent person does not, what real customers are actually willing to pay for. One possesses a beautiful plan, the other possesses evidence, and the market pays for evidence. Machiavelli wrote about fortuna, the unpredictable force of circumstance that shapes human affairs. Fortune changes direction without asking whether you are prepared. Opportunities appear, competitors respond, and conditions shift. The person who demands complete certainty is attempting to control what cannot be controlled. By the time he finally feels ready, the moment may already be gone. This does not mean research is useless. Entering a market blindly, borrowing recklessly, or risking money you cannot afford to lose is not courage. It is carelessness. The strategic approach is to gather enough information to make the next move, not enough information to eliminate every possible danger. Set a deadline for the decision. Define the maximum loss you can tolerate. Take one small reversible step. Then allow reality to provide the information that analysis cannot. A simple sales page can test demand. One conversation can expose a false assumption. A small investment can teach you more about your emotional discipline than years of studying charts. Intelligent people often believe they need more knowledge. What they actually need is contact with consequences. Because wealth is not built by the person who can imagine every possible outcome. It is built by the person who learns which outcomes matter and adapts before everyone else finishes thinking. You can possess the most brilliant idea in the room and still remain poor if no one understands it, trusts it, or feels compelled to act on it. The market does not pay you for what exists inside your mind. It pays you for your ability to transfer an idea from your mind into the attention, emotions, and decisions of other people. This is where many intelligent people lose to those they once underestimated. Smart people often believe quality should speak for itself. They assume that if a product is useful, customers will recognize its value. If an argument is logical, people will accept it. If their work is excellent, someone powerful will eventually notice. But value that cannot be communicated is frequently ignored. Meanwhile, the so-called stupid person is willing to sell. He approaches strangers, makes offers, asks for opportunities, negotiates prices, and risks rejection. His language may not be sophisticated, his product may not be revolutionary, but he understands something essential. Money moves through people, and people rarely make decisions through logic alone. They respond to confidence, clarity, emotion, trust, urgency, status, and perception. Imagine an intelligent engineer who creates a technically superior product. He explains every feature in precise detail, but customers leave confused. Across the street, an ordinary salesman offers a simpler product. He listens to the customer's frustration, describes the desired outcome, removes uncertainty, and asks directly for the sale. The engineer understands the product better. The salesman understands the person better, and the salesman gets paid. Machiavelli understood that power depends not only on what you are, but on how you are perceived. A leader may possess ability, but if he cannot inspire confidence, shape appearances, and influence emotion, his ability remains politically useless. The same principle governs money. This does not mean deception should replace substance. Manipulation may produce a quick transaction, but once trust collapses, reputation becomes expensive to rebuild. Strategic persuasion connects genuine value with the motives that already exist in another person. It asks, what does this person fear? What do they desire? What problem keeps returning? What outcome would make action feel safer than delay? Intelligent people sometimes avoid these questions because persuasion feels beneath them. They want facts to be enough. They dislike promoting themselves, asking for money, or creating emotional messages. They associate selling with pressure and assume that remaining quiet demonstrates integrity. But refusing to communicate value does not make you virtuous. It makes you invisible. The ability to persuade is not merely a sales skill. It influences whether you receive a promotion, attract investors, recruit talented people, negotiate favorable terms, or convince customers to choose you instead of a competitor. Fortunately, persuasion is learned through exposure. Every rejected offer teaches you where trust disappeared. Every failed negotiation reveals what the other side values. Every customer conversation sharpens your ability to listen, frame value, and speak with precision. The person willing to endure rejection accumulates social intelligence that books alone cannot provide. Knowledge creates potential. Persuasion converts that potential into movement. Because wealth rarely flows toward the person with the most impressive thoughts. It flows toward the person who can make others see value, believe in an outcome, and confidently take the next step. Intelligence can create confidence, but when confidence hardens into pride, it becomes a financial prison. Many intelligent people do not reject opportunity because it is unprofitable. They reject it because it appears too small, too ordinary, or beneath the image they have built of themselves. They do not want to sell directly because selling feels undignified. They refuse to launch an imperfect product because others might criticize it. They hesitate to learn from someone with less education because accepting that person's advice would threaten their sense of superiority. So they wait for an opportunity that looks worthy of their intelligence. Meanwhile, the so-called stupid person takes the opportunity that exists. He starts with one customer. He performs unglamorous work. He asks basic questions, copies proven methods, and accepts advice from anyone who understands the game better than he does. He is willing to look inexperienced because his attention is not fixed on protecting an identity, it is fixed on producing a result. Consider two professionals who lose their jobs. The first has an impressive degree and years of experience. He refuses temporary work, avoids contacting former colleagues, and dismisses small business ideas because they seem beneath his qualifications. He tells himself he is waiting for the right position. The second begins doing simple work for local clients. The income is initially modest, and some people question his decision. But he listens, improves his offer, earns referrals, and eventually turns a temporary service into a business. The first man protects his status. The second rebuilds his power. Machiavelli understood that appearances matter, but he also understood that survival and power matter more. A strategic person may temporarily accept a humble position if it provides access, knowledge, relationships, or leverage. He does not confuse a temporary role with his permanent identity. This is where intelligent pride becomes especially expensive. It prevents people from beginning at the level reality offers them. They want to appear successful before they have built anything capable of producing success. Real ambition requires humility. You must be humble enough to admit that the market does not care about your qualifications, humble enough to hear that your idea is unclear, humble enough to sell before you feel important, learn from unexpected people, and perform work that produces cash rather than admiration. Humility is not weakness. It is the ability to place results above ego. The person who needs to look powerful will avoid situations that expose his inexperience. The person who intends to become powerful will enter those situations deliberately, learn what they can teach him, and leave with greater capability. Sometimes the price of long-term power is short-term embarrassment, and those willing to pay that price often advance beyond those who were too proud to begin small. There is a kind of knowledge that cannot be found in books, courses, spreadsheets, or expert opinions. It only appears after you act. Before entering the market, you can estimate what customers want. You can study successful businesses, analyze competitors, and predict which strategy should work. But until someone is asked to exchange real money for your offer, much of what you believe remains an assumption. Action turns assumptions into evidence. Imagine two people planning to launch an online service. The first spends months building a sophisticated website. He studies branding, writes a detailed business plan, and carefully designs every feature. Because he wants to avoid failure, he continues improving the service without showing it to anyone. The second creates a simple version in 1 week and offers it to 10 potential customers. Most refuse. Some ignore him. One person agrees to pay, but requests something different from what he originally intended to provide. That single customer changes everything. The second person discovers which problem is urgent, which language creates interest, what price feels acceptable, and what customers actually expect after purchasing. His original plan may have been wrong, but action has given him information that the first person still does not possess. A beautiful plan without customers is a theory. An imperfect business with 10 paying customers is a source of truth. This is why people who act often appear unusually adaptable. They do not necessarily predict the future better. They simply receive feedback earlier. They make a small move. Reality responds. They observe the result, adjust their approach, and move again. Each cycle produces better judgment, stronger skills, useful relationships, and sometimes an asset that continues creating value. Over time, the advantage compounds. The intelligent observer may understand why a strategy should succeed, but the active participant learns where it breaks, how people resist it, and what must change to make it work under real conditions. Machiavelli judged leaders by their ability to adapt their behavior to changing circumstances. A strategy that succeeded yesterday could fail tomorrow because fortune, incentives, and human loyalties had shifted. Those who remained loyal to theory were often defeated by those who responded to reality. The same principle governs wealth. Markets change, platforms disappear, customer preferences evolve, competitors imitate successful ideas. You cannot prepare for every change in advance. Your real protection is not perfect prediction. It is the ability to notice change and respond faster than others. This does not mean that any action is valuable. Repeatedly, making the same mistake is not courage. Movement without observation is merely wasted energy. Strategic action follows a disciplined loop. Act small, measure the response, identify the lesson, and adjust. Launch the basic offer before building the complete company. Speak to customers before spending heavily on branding. Test demand before borrowing money. Make the first investment small enough that a mistake becomes education rather than destruction. The goal is not to eliminate risk. It is to purchase useful information at a price you can survive. Every intelligent action should leave you with something: a customer insight, a stronger skill, a new relationship, a clearer offer, or evidence that helps you make the next decision. Books can teach you principles. Only consequences can teach you judgment. And in the pursuit of wealth, judgment, the ability to recognize what matters and act accordingly, is often more valuable than intelligence itself. One of the most convincing traps in modern life is the belief that a higher income automatically creates financial power. Intelligent people are especially vulnerable to this idea. They follow the approved path, earn valuable qualifications, secure a respectable job, improve their expertise, negotiate a better salary, and compete for promotion. Each step appears rational, and each increase in income feels like progress. But there is a difference between being highly paid and being financially powerful. If your income stops when your labor stops, you do not fully control it. Your employer controls the position. The market controls the demand for your skills. A manager can restrict your advancement. A recession can reduce your value. Even an impressive salary may remain dependent on your continued obedience, presence, and performance. You may earn more money while still owning very little. The strategic person asks a different question. Instead of asking only, "How can I earn more?" he asks, "What can I own that continues producing value without requiring every hour of my life?" He seeks equity in a business, productive assets, intellectual property, distribution systems, content libraries, licensing rights, or relationships that provide access to customers and opportunities. These forms of ownership are not automatically profitable, and none is free from risk, but they can separate value creation from the limits of personal time. Consider two people earning the same income. The first spends years improving his professional reputation. His salary rises, but so do his expenses. A more expensive home, a better car, and a higher status lifestyle absorb nearly everything he earns. From the outside, he appears successful. Yet, if he loses his position, the appearance becomes difficult to maintain. The second lives below his means and uses part of his income to acquire ownership. He buys a small share in a productive enterprise, develops a service that other people can deliver, or creates an asset that can be sold repeatedly. At first, these assets produce little. They may even require more work than his job. But gradually, his position changes. The first person continues selling his time at a higher price. The second is building something that may eventually purchase his time back. Machiavelli understood that lasting power depends on controlling the foundations from which power flows. A ruler who depends completely on borrowed armies remains vulnerable to those who provide them. In the same way, a person who depends entirely on a salary remains vulnerable to the institution that pays it. This does not mean quitting your job impulsively or treating employment as failure. A salary can provide stability, training, relationships, credibility, and the capital needed to build ownership. The mistake is not having a job. The mistake is allowing earned income to become the final destination. Use income as a tool. Convert a portion of what you earn into assets, capabilities, and systems you control. Learn how businesses acquire customers, understand contracts, equity, and cash flow. Build something small before attempting something grand. Most importantly, avoid confusing consumption with ownership. A luxury object may advertise wealth while removing capital that could have created it. Intelligence can increase the price of your labor. Discipline can help you retain what you earn. But ownership changes your relationship with money because it gives you a claim on future value. The intelligent person tries to become indispensable inside another person's system. The strategic person learns from that system and quietly builds one of his own. A person with imperfect knowledge who begins today can eventually surpass a brilliant person who waits 10 years for certainty. Not because speed guarantees success, but because starting early gives time more opportunities to work. Every early action creates something that can compound. Skills improve through repetition. Relationships deepen through trust. Reputation grows through consistent delivery. Mistakes reveal better strategies. Productive assets gain more time to develop. The person who starts early does not need to be right immediately. He has time to correct his direction. The intelligent person often underestimates this advantage because he evaluates each decision separately. He asks whether this business idea is perfect, whether this investment is ideally timed, or whether he is completely prepared. But wealth is rarely determined by one perfect decision. It is often shaped by thousands of ordinary actions, repeated long enough to produce an extraordinary result. Consider two people who want to build the same valuable skill. The first spends years searching for the best course, the safest industry, and the perfect strategy. He fears investing effort in the wrong direction. The second chooses a reasonable path and practices consistently. His early work is unimpressive. He makes mistakes and occasionally changes direction. But each attempt improves his judgment, expands his network, and creates evidence of his ability. Years later, the first person may still possess greater theoretical intelligence, but the second possesses experience, relationships, credibility, and assets built through sustained action. Machiavelli understood that fortune changes quickly. Opportunity does not remain available simply because you are still preparing. Those who recognize the moment and move decisively gain positions that cautious people may never recover. Yet speed alone is not enough. Fast action without consistency produces scattered effort. Consistency without reflection repeats the same mistakes. Strategic progress requires both. Move early, observe carefully, improve continuously, and remain in the game long enough for accumulated advantages to become visible. Smart people rarely lose their financial future through one catastrophic decision. More often, they lose it through thousands of small delays. Another month spent researching, another year waiting for confidence, another opportunity rejected because the conditions were not perfect. Each delay appears harmless. Together, they consume the one resource that cannot be recovered: time. You do not need the complete map. You need a direction, a survivable first step, and the discipline to continue adjusting. Because wealth does not always belong to the person who begins with the greatest intelligence. It often belongs to the person who begins soon enough and remains consistent long enough for time to multiply every intelligent action. The lesson is not that stupidity creates wealth or that intelligence is a disadvantage. Intelligence becomes dangerous only when it is used to avoid uncertainty, protect the ego, and justify inaction. The people who appear less intelligent often move ahead because they are willing to do what smarter people resist. They begin before feeling ready. They ask simple questions. They sell imperfect offers, accept rejection, learn from consequences, and adjust without treating every mistake as an attack on their identity. They understand that the market does not reward potential. It rewards value that is communicated, delivered, and owned. Machiavelli's world was shaped by uncertainty, changing loyalties, and sudden reversals of fortune. He understood that power belonged not merely to those who could think, but to those who could adapt their thinking to reality and act while the opportunity still existed. Your intelligence should help you recognize risk, not become paralyzed by it. It should help you design better experiments, communicate value more clearly, build ownership, and make decisions with discipline. So, choose one idea you have been analyzing for too long. Define the smallest risk you can afford. Take one measurable step. Contact the customer. Publish the offer. Begin developing the asset. Let reality answer the questions that thought alone cannot resolve. If this video changed the way you think about intelligence and wealth, subscribe to Money is Power and share your perspective in the comments. Has intelligence helped you build wealth, or has it sometimes become an excuse to delay action? Because the goal is not to think less. It is to ensure that every intelligent thought eventually becomes a strategic move.